G'day guys, my name's Nicky Piper. I'm here on behalf of ShockTV. We're here with Dreyer of La Dispute, just to chat about how the tour's going so far, just before we start our Melbourne leg of the shows. So how you going tonight, Jordan?
Got my own microphone. No, that's cool. Fantastic. The tour's been amazing. Happy to be in Melbourne again. Excited for tonight's show.
Yeah, nice one.
How are you, Nicky?
I'm going very well tonight,
Good.
thank you. So you've toured over quite an extensive part of Australia for this particular leg of the tour. How's the crowd response been so far?
Amazing so far. We really, like I said, off camera, we haven't really had a bad day or a bad show. It's been a lot of fun. This is really the first proper headlining tour we've done on the record we put out last fall in the States, I guess in here also. But so it's been a lot of fun to be playing new songs and see how they've grown on people in the 4 months that the record's been out.
Speaking of the new songs, how is the you released a record called Wildlife in October 2011?
Correct, yep.
How's the crowd response been to the new songs, especially with Australian crowds compared to the US crowds?
Yeah, it's been, like I said, the record came out in October. We were on a support tour in the States for 2 months. It came out while we were like a week into that tour. So that was it was interesting to see the progression, every week that the record was out, and it went from people like staring blankly at you to like a little bit of a nod, and then towards the end people singing along. But we had a couple months off, and then we did Europe, and then we came here. And this is, like I said, the first time that we've really properly headlined a tour on this record, and it's been pretty amazing to see people singing along to new songs.
It's good. How do they go in countries that don't necessarily speak English, because you have just come over from Europe?
Yeah.
How's that been? Interesting? Or?
Great. I'd venture to guess we're not the easiest English-speaking band to sing along to if you don't speak English as a primary language, because I pack a lot of words into songs. But I don't know. Like I said, we were in Europe. We did a bunch of shows in Germany and Austria and countries that aren't primarily English-speaking, and it was comparable to what it is here. Lots of kids singing along. They're a lot better at speaking English than I am at speaking German, which makes me embarrassed. But so it's been, just all around, it's been fantastic. The last month has been amazing for us.
Just rolling on from your vocal style, the musicianship in La Dispute is quite poetic, intense. There's been a lot of words thrown around to describe it. To someone who hasn't listened to La Dispute before, how would you describe your style without saying one genre?
Man, it's tricky because I have a hard time classifying anything in a genre, and it's twice as difficult when you're trying to discuss your own band openly.
Definitely.
I guess the most specific term anyone ever uses is post-hardcore, but we tend to just say punk or rock and roll. I don't know. It's
just a band playing music.
Yeah, we're 5 close friends with a mutual love and passion for challenging ourselves creatively and making music that we believe in 100%. So more than anything, I think it's just five people with very different tastes who are passionate about comparable things. And
definitely sounds good. How would you describe your influences, which obviously wouldn't necessarily be musicians? Would they be poets or writers or?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think we all cherish the most about our band, is that we all have such distinct tastes in music and in art, and they're all very different from each other. So it depends on who you'd ask. For me, a lot of it is, it's everything that happens around you. So it's books, it's poems, it's the people you interact with, the conversations that you have, and it's the bands you play with and the music you listen to. So it's really hard to pinpoint everything. I think everything has an effect on you, whether or not it's a conscious thing or not.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the actual music of La Dispute, when you guys say released a record, are you a band who gets together and jams a lot of the tunes out, or do you like to sit at home and write the songs and show the other guys what you've written?
It's a little bit of both.
Writing process?
Yeah, we've always been. It's always been important for it to be a collective effort amongst us.
Yep.
So there's a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. Sometimes we'll all do quite a bit of work on our own, sitting at home, just jotting down ideas, playing guitar parts, or writing a line or a bass line or a drum part or a musical idea.
Yep.
But in the end, it all gets brought to practice, and we all work it out, and things shift and transform, and everybody kind of takes their stab at it, and sometimes someone will come to practice with a whole song written out, and by the end of the next practice, it'll be a shell of what it was previously. So it's a little of both.
Yeah, that's good. probably mention I've heard, I'm not sure how true it is, that the wildlife lyrics are a narrative, as in putting yourself in someone else's character and telling their story.
Sure.
Could you maybe expand about what sort of drove you to write the songs like that? Which is different than writing individual songs. I think there's 3 songs that are the same character, or something along those lines.
This time around, we wanted to on previous records we've kept things relatively personal from my own experiences and relationships and such. But there were 3 songs on the previous record we did that were written from other people's perspectives, because I wanted to tell a story that had impacted me pretty profoundly. And I think those were 3 of the songs that went the best for all of us on that record, and it was one of the more satisfying songwriting experiences we've had. So this time around, we wanted to kind of broaden the scope of what was discussed and to take the focus off one singular situation and kind of write something that was more encompassing and that gave a better picture of life as a whole at this age. So the way in which one of the ways in which we tried to accomplish that was to kind of base everything off the experiences of a character, and a lot of it is inevitably autobiographical. But it was a way for us to kind of take the focus off one thing and still write a cohesive record. So there's actually two different things that go on in the record. One of it is they're all separate stories that are very distinct from everyone else, and then there's that narrative you talked about. There's that characters, the authors, I guess, kind of interjections and annotations throughout the text that is all the story. So there's a lot of different things that are going on.
Is it quite, especially as the vocalist, quite emotionally draining? Sometimes playing show after show, but trying to get that intensity forward.
Sure.
Or are you sort of used to it now? And
it's interesting. You write a song about especially when you're writing from your own personal experience. You kind of put yourself out there, and you do kind of in some ways suffer the consequences emotionally when you have to try to make it as engaging as possible in a live setting. But the more you play songs, I think the less, not the less emotional it becomes for you, but it takes different shapes. You know, it's easy to detach the initial inspiration for a song from the song when you're playing it live, and to attach it to what you're feeling at that moment, or even just the connection you have with the people in the crowd or the people on stage with you. So I don't think it's ever, you know, sometimes sometimes when you're playing a song live, it's very much about what the song was written about, and it can be a difficult thing. Other times it's about something else in your life. So it's a weird thing.
Hard to answer.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to answer. It's kind of night to night and song to song.
Yeah. Speaking of the crowd interaction, do you prefer, say, a more intimate, sort of smaller venue, or do you like the sort of bigger shows where you're playing to a lot of people? Just as a personal preference for Jordan, not as a whole.
We grew up playing shows in basements and in coffee shops and in veterans halls back home, and for a long time I don't think any of us really imagined being in any other environment but an incredibly intimate one, playing on the floor for people who are right up next to you. But I think the more that we've toured, and the more diverse the shows we play have become over the years, the more you realize that the environment that you're in is only a small part of it. You know, you can have the same connection playing on a big stage as playing on a basement, so long as the vibe is there and so long as everyone is there for, you know, the same reason. So I don't know. It's hard. I have a hard time answering anything straightforward. I don't know if you noticed, but I think most of the time I would prefer an intimate environment, but I think you can have an intimate environment in a big room, so long as everyone's head is in the right place, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
So it really depends on the night.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Long answer to a short question.
Yeah, always. I'm incapable of giving short answers.
So what are your guys' plans after the Australian tour? Once it winds up, are you having some downtime, or are you going somewhere else?
When we go home, we've got a little under a month of downtime to kind of collect ourselves and get our lives in order, and then we are doing our first proper headlining tour back in the States for the new records. We've got a month and a half on the road with 3 really great bands, which we're looking forward to.
That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be really good. Question about people might not know about the Here EPs that you guys released. explain that to someone who doesn't quite know what they are, as in their EPs released between albums. So yeah, just sort of describe what they are to you.
Sure. Here was an idea that a few of us had quite a few years ago when we put out a 7-inch, and we wanted to put something with it to kind of supplement the release, give people an incentive to pre-order. So we were kind of brainstorming about that, and came up with this idea that stuck with us. What it is essentially is each of us writes a song. Each of us writes a song, and Vass will write a song, Chad will write a song, Kevin will write a song, Brad will write a song, and they'll record all the instruments on it, play the whole thing through, and then I would attach on the first two excerpts from books that had impacted me, or poems, or kind of historical fiction that I'd write. And what we wanted to do is kind of give a broader context for all of our individual influences, as a way to not just like supplement a release with an extra thing, but an extra thing that was related in some way thematically to what the record ended up becoming. So, and we had such a good time the first time we did it that we decided to do it again, and we did another one. We've done them all on different formats. And
can we expect a new one in 2012? Or
I hope so. I
or?
think we're all pretty committed to the idea still. It's something we all have a really good time doing. It's just a matter of finding the right time and finding the right idea.
Inspiration and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but there will definitely be a fourth installment sometime in the future.
Definitely look forward to it if it does come out this year. And we'll try and act surprised when it does. That we gave it away here.
Sure. No spoilers.
Just a couple of last quick questions. Outside of music, you've mentioned that you're quite good, obviously quite close friends with your other bandmates. What are your interests outside of playing in La Dispute and touring? Do you guys?
Yeah, we all keep pretty occupied. I like to write. I like to read. I like to hang out with friends. That's pretty much what I do when I'm home. Brad can't turn off the musical part of himself, so he does a lot of writing when he's home, and he does a lot of recording and production stuff. Vass does a lot of graphic design, does a lot of artwork. Chad is engaged to marry with a beautiful, beautiful girl, and he spends a lot of time with her.
Take up a lot of his time.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time farming and doing Chad and Stephanie things, which I guess means nothing to anyone but me. But so yeah, we all have different interests. We all keep pretty occupied. You kind of have to, especially now that we're at a point where we don't necessarily have to stress out too much about. I mean, obviously we're not like, no band makes a lot of money. It never happens. Exactly. But we're at a point where we can like relax a little bit when we're home. So it's important to have different endeavors to keep ourselves occupied, so we don't feel like the biggest wastes of space when we're home sitting and watching sports on TV or whatever it might be, just as an example.
And you got to find lyrics for your next album that don't speak about being in a band, sort of things.
Yeah.
You do other stuff outside.
Exactly.
Being in a band.
You gotta have two lives.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's pretty much all we have time for tonight. So thank you very much, Jordan.
No problem. Thank you.
Good luck with the show
Appreciate
tonight and the rest of Australia, and glad you can make it down here. And it's a long haul for you Americans.
Hopefully we'll be back soon. We have such a great time when we're here.
That's good. It's been our pleasure chatting to you tonight. So thanks a lot.
Thank you for the interview.
Guys,
Appreciate it.
I'm Nicky Piper from ShockTV. Join us next time on the next installment. Cheers, guys.